How many of you are familiar with Towson University? Anybody go to Towson University? Yes. All right. That's where I went to school. That's where I graduated from happily. And when I lived on campus at Towson, I lived in a tower complex that's on the one end of campus. It's 4 buildings that are about 4 to 16 stories tall. And I went back to this complex. I lived on the 6th floor with a whole bunch of my friends. We went back after the holiday break and we got together, we went out for dinner, we came back and we're in my room as I'm unpacking and my roommate's unpacking, we're drinking a few beers and just catching up. And I'm taking shirts out of a suitcase and I'm putting them on a hanger. And I'm hanging them up on there's this pipe that runs the length of the room. And this pipe it's a water pipe. It has 2 sprinklers, one in the middle, one at the very end. And I'm hanging shirts on it. And my roommate says to me at this point, you know, you might not want to put that up there because it's been drilled into you from day one, all of the regulations that things you should do and shouldn't do. I mean, don't have a hot plate, don't have a hot pot, et cetera, and don't put anything on this pipe. Don't put Christmas lights, don't put posters, don't put a Post-it, don't put anything on these things. So given that given that this is what we had been told, I took the hanger and I started to take it off. The sprinkler head has this little piece of wax. And I assumed this little piece of wax, once it gets to a certain temperature, is supposed to melt. And once it melts, then the sprinkler system goes off, suppresses whatever fire heated it up to that temperature. And my contention is that that little piece of wax gets really, really brittle after it's been there for a number of years because it had been there since the 70s when the building was built. And as I'm pulling the hanger forward, I kind of bumped the sprinkler head and it kind of exploded. And to say exploded is an understatement. I'm like the fury of Poseidon was unleashed upon me and absolutely point blank at chest level, like a fire hose had been unleashed. And this wasn't like pure water. This is water that has black sediment that's been sitting in these pipes for these same years since this thing's been built. I'm getting pelted by it. But instinctually, I wasted no time. I flew out of the room. I flew down the hallway. I hit the stairwell. I am going down 6 flights of stairs faster than you could possibly imagine. I'm jumping half flights of stairs at single leaps at a time. I'm like Superman. And I'm getting to the ground floor as fast as I can. My only goal is to get to the RA station because I need to tell them to turn the water off because the alarm system is going off and this one sprinkler head is going off and I need to get it shut off. I run to the RA station, the guy is sitting there and I say, turn the water off, turn the water off. There's no fire, I just set the sprinkler system off, there's no fire. And he looks at me with this kind of clueless, impotent look as if to say with his eyes in that moment, dude, you way overestimated my power. I only carry the keys around here. And so he said, yeah, I can't turn the water off. And at that moment, I realized how screwed I actually was. And the building was evacuated. I was left in the lobby. I spoke to the firefighters. I spoke to the police officers who came in to deal with the situation. I'm sitting there in front of the elevator shaft, sitting there with my legs almost into my chest. I'm almost like in a fetal position. And I am looking at what used to be the elevator shaft, but now, thanks to me and tapping that one sprinkler head, I have transformed this into a veritable waterfall. A waterfall that is absolutely streaming 250 gallons of water from the 6th floor all the way into the basement of this building. I'm looking at a waterfall that Maui would be happy to have as a tourist attraction. And I just know this is the worst thing that is ever going to happen to me in the course of my entire life. Well, we go up to the room after they let us in, and to say there was 4 inches of water in our room would be an understatement. To say the maintenance workers that was cleaning it up were just not happy would be an understatement. But somehow they didn't kick me out of the school. And 6 months later, I was in an accident that I suffered a spinal cord injury, ended up in a wheelchair, spent 6 months in a hospital, lost 2 semesters of school, came back to school in the fall of the next year, came back to the same tower complex in a different tower, Tower B this time. This was Tower C that I had the episode. And I'm in one of those meetings where they tell you about the regulations and what you should and should not do. And the RA is talking about what you should not do, mainly that you should not put things on the sprinkler pipe. And she said, as a matter of fact, about a year ago, we had an incident where somebody unleashed about 250 gallons of water into the building and created his own water park. And I was sitting there and I slowly raised my hand and I said, that was me. And everybody turned and I immediately had the entire attention of the room. And I said, yeah, that was me, and moral of the story is you might want to comply with what they say because I did start the great flood of Tower C, and you're welcome.